This might be the worst week of wrestling news I've seen in a very, very long time. We're going to try to break it all down here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. Joining me is Ralph Valenti. We'll start off with the first bit of news that we saw earlier in this week, and that's Jeff Hardy, again, getting a DUI. This is his third. It happens in the state of Florida. Just, days before his ladder match with the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Not a good look for Jeff Hardy, who just recently was released from WWE after, all that happened there. And this isn't a AEW versus WWE thing. And I know people are trying to make this out to be like who treated it better, the situation better. It's not. This is a situation about Jeff Hardy and him getting better and whatever he's got to do to get himself clean again and get into the ring and not have these kind of DUI things. So I'm hoping for the best of Jeff Hardy, but this better be a wake-up call for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the one thing you got to say here, the only word that comes to my mind is it's unfortunate, right? Because he's a guy that has had an amazing career as a tag team wrestler, as a singles wrestler in the WWE, outside the WWE. Probably could be considered one half of the best tag teams of all time. And he finds himself in a really good position where he can work in AEW against some of the very best tag teams that there are in the world. He's automatically in a top spot, going to be challenging for the tag team titles in a ladder match. And, as you mentioned, Jeff has had issues in the past. And what do you say? You just hope that eventually whatever facility he goes to, whatever rehab he ends up going to, like it actually works and it sticks and he sticks with it. And we get whatever left of Jeff Hardy, the best of Jeff Hardy that we have left, we get that.
Right.
And I don't think that's going to happen in the very near future. But guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, and I think this is more serious now because I've seen on Twitter those that live in Florida. They say that it's possible that because this is the third offense for him with a DUI, it could lead to jail time, regardless of, whatever the case may be. It's like automatically jail time. And that could be up to 5 years, I think, if I read correctly. So, at his age and his health situation, even before like the DUIs or whatever, this may be the last time we actually see Jeff Hardy in the ring, depending on where the sentencing is. And that's an even scarier part that it's come to this. And thank God no one got hurt. Because if someone got hurt, forget it. That's a dangerous situation there.
We just went through this with Sonny. Like what, last month? That's how. And, a lot of times you see this happen with celebrities and it's kind of like, oh, they got a slap on the wrist of DUI, whatever. It should be taken seriously, especially with him. I don't think he has a license. I don't think he was supposed to be driving to begin with, let alone under the influence. So, I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to point fingers and say an AEW versus WWE thing. It's just, you hope for the best for the guy, get yourself some help and, get back in the ring.
At the end of the day, Matt Hardy can reach out to Jeff Hardy. Matt Hardy's wife can reach out to Jeff Hardy, WWE or AEW, but Jeff Hardy's got to help Jeff Hardy first. And I know I don't have experience in this type of situation, but at the end of the day, I just want Jeff Hardy to get the help he needs. And I'm just going to leave it with that. But that's not even the craziest story that we got this week, because Wednesday night, we find out that Vince McMahon is under an investigation because he gave away $3 million in a settlement of hush money in an affair that he had. And there's some crazy allegations with this, including passing off this paralegal like a toy to John Laurinaitis. And, there's some allegations out there that I think might be worse, like hiding Jimmy Snuka's murder or the steroid scandal. But I think this time, I don't know where this leads to. Now, we know that Vince McMahon is stepping down for the time being. Stephanie McMahon is taking over as CEO of the company, but Vince is still doing the creative in WWE. But I just don't know where this leads to. Does this lead to WWE selling? Does this lead to Vince McMahon retiring and this is going to be his last moments in WWE as a CEO, as head of creative or whatever, when this is all said and done. But if these allegations are true, the only word I could think of is appalling. That's really what I think they are right now. If they're true, is they're appalling.
If it's true.
If it's true.
Now,
I don't want to assume. I know
right.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's definitely true." Like,
okay,
no. I'm not going to slander the guy.
Here's what I'm going to say about this for now. If it's true, absolutely, 100%, appalling, whatever you want to call it. The guy, obviously, and that's the thing. You see him and Linda, at least we did in the Attitude Era, kind of growing up, and they kind of make a joke of their affairs and their marriage and stuff like that, but you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't. For all we know, they could be in an open relationship. I don't know. We don't know.
Or they're divorced, because in the Pat McAfee interview, it seemed like he caught himself saying "my ex-wife" or "then wife" and corrected himself. So people are alluding to thinking that Vince and Linda aren't even in a marriage right now.
And that's the thing. I obviously, at face value, it looks bad. Obviously, there's a long way to go with this story. There will be an investigation, and we'll either find out what's true, what's not true. Obviously, in this day and age, I think a lot of people tend to jump to the worst side of things. Like, the innocent until proven guilty is not really a thing, especially in wrestling Twitter world.
Yes.
And the other
or just
thing
Twitter
too,
in general.
Well, yeah, that's true. And it's like, look, it's for anybody who, because I've seen this other side of it too. It's like, okay, this is obviously bad for WWE, but it's also not good for the wrestling community, because if WWE, because people have literally said, okay, this is great, whatever. Like they're hoping this is the downfall of the WWE, and I'm sure it wouldn't be, even if it was true. To hope that the WWE were to go out of business, I don't think you realize the domino effect that would have for wrestling as a whole.
Yes.
And to root against WWE as a whole, and not just Vince McMahon and your own personal feelings or whatever else, I don't want this to be true just for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly looking like it. There's some smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire, as they say. So it's looking like there's some truth to this. But I also am realistic in knowing that if what's bad for the WWE is bad for wrestling across the board, because they are huge. They pretty much are like the, they say like a high tide rises all ships. They're the ship, man. They're like the one that kind of sets the standard. They're the biggest wrestling organization in the United States. Like if they go away, that's not good for wrestling across the board. That doesn't automatically mean like, okay, it's smooth sailing for AEW. And I see a lot of people kind of rooting, okay, well, good, this will be the downfall of WWE, which I don't know why people would want that.
No, I think if that were to happen, that would be similar to if the NFL were to go under, what that would do for football. Yeah, there's a USFL, there's the XFL, whatever, but they're nowhere close to the popularity of the NFL or Major League Baseball. There's no other there's no other baseball outside of Major League Baseball. Or if the NHL were to go under, or the NBA were to go under, like it would be the same thing for WWE. Does AEW pad it a little bit? Yes, but at the end of the day, it's, not good at all, I think. But, the last bit of news that we got here is Sasha Banks. In a cryptic tweet by Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc., teasing that he's got a big story, and it comes out late Wednesday night that bit of news is that Sasha Banks has been released from WWE. Now, no one else has confirmed it, but Sean Ross Sapp actually went on to bat for Raj Giri, saying that, he has good sources. Nothing is confirmed yet, but it's pointing in that direction. Matt Men, Andrew Zarian of the Matt Men podcast, also backing that up, saying that lawyers were involved last week, saying that they are trying to get this release done. This is a huge, huge huge news story that if it's true and Sasha Banks is in fact released, that is I think the closest seismic shift thing to happen between a WWE to AEW jump, if it's where she leaves WWE released to go to AEW. I think that's the closest thing you'll ever get, because I don't think Roman's ever going to go there. I don't think Brock's ever going to go there. I don't think Cena's going to ever go there. I think the next best one after that is Sasha Banks.
Yeah, if this is true, it's going to be really unfortunate for WWE that it actually got to this point. And it's like we say all the time, it's not something we made up. It's something that others in the industry, I think Jim Ross is the one that says it, cash and creative. That's what it comes down to. In this case, it was the creative. But that's what drives this industry. The desire to be maybe not the top, but to have good storylines and to make sure that you're taken care of, positioned in the right way, especially if you're somebody as good as Sasha Banks. And she really has been. She's always been very good. She's always been somebody that they can rely on, and she's been somebody that has put a lot of people over. She finally, from what we know, at least from stories that have circulated, put her foot down and was like, no, I'm not putting Ronda over. That's it. Like, that's where I'm drawing the line. I'm not going to do it. It just sucks that it got to this point. I don't know. I'd still be very surprised if they actually just like released her. But honestly, like, look, people are critical of WWE when they're like, all right, well, they won't let you go if you don't want to be there. And now they're like, what do you want them to do? They're obviously in a no-win situation here. You don't want to let go one of your best talents.
This goes against everything that they've done in the past, where Ali asked for his release and they're like, no. They originally, Sasha's asked for her release before and they said, no, take time off and come back. And she had arguably her best run ever in WWE after coming back from that, and so many other people requesting their release and being, or asking to go to NXT and being rejected that too. To now having one of your biggest stars asking for a release and you say yes, but you're refusing to release Ali. You're refusing to release or go back to NXT, Aleister Black. Like, where's the consistency in that? If someone does not want to be there, just let them go. You have people there that want to be there and want a spot. Why take the opportunity away from that person because you're being petty as hell, keeping this person? And now you're saying, well, we know we did all that, so we're just going to forget all that and let the biggest star in our women's division outside of Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, and Becky Lynch, and I even think at times she should be even bigger than those three, let her go with nothing.
I don't have those answers. I don't know. I don't know who makes those decisions, how they make those decisions, if it's based on what they're. I really don't know. I just know that she's one of the top stars in the industry, and it would really suck for WWE to lose her.
Yep. And if AEW gets her, it automatically shoots their women's division to the nth degree. I know they got a lot of changes to make there. We recently did a video on how Tony Khan can fix that women's division. Click the thumbnail on the screen right now to check that conversation. We'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble.